Hello and welcome to another L22 sim racing video. Today we're going to cover telemetry data, what is it, how to use it, how to understand it, and ultimately how to make your lap times faster. Personal favourite of mine is United Racing Data. This particular tool that I'm looking at the moment is fantastic for Automobilista 2 as there is a high level of clarity, easy to use, and you can compare the data from other drivers really easily. From the download page, download the latest release. Once it's installed, run your sim as usual. I tab out and start this running. It'll pick up that you're running Automobilista 2. You can start this first if you like, and then all your active laps, your clean laps, are uploaded and they're available on your last and also on your stints tab at the top. So I've just clicked on my last stint, which my fastest lap time is a 1 minute 24.62. This lap was done in the Mercedes GT1 on Automobilista 2, practicing for the Spielberg round 6 of 6 championship. I've just done eight quick laps to figure out which is the best driving line. So I've tried different lines. This isn't my ultimate lap, my fastest lap as such. This is just a few laps I've put together to try and figure out which is the quickest way around the track. So 124.6. Is it the fastest way around the track, or is there better laps to be had? The first thing to do with this app, this feature, telemetry data, is to, if possible, load a faster time than yourself so you can see where other people might be getting an advantage. To do that, you click on World Records, Automobilista 2 in this instance. There are other sims available. Select your car, which is the Mercedes CLK, and we're going to pick Spielberg, which is the track we're interested in. So as you can see there are 3 times currently logged. The other 2 guys are also in the Crest Autosport League that I'm up against this coming Thursday. Unfortunately, in this particular instance, 1 minute 24.6 is the fastest time, which is my time, so I'm not able to compare mine against somebody else's in this instance. If the lap times between me and second were very close, you could potentially see if they were faster in a certain sector over yourself. But in this instance, we're going to compare my own time, because a good feature in United Racing Data is it enables you to compare against your optimal lap time. So to do that, we're going to load our session, which is this telemetry tab here, and it's got my actual time and currently my actual time again until we change it. So to change it, we're going to go to switch laps. This is only available, I think, on your own time. I don't think you can look at somebody else's optimal. I stand to be corrected. But here, lap 0, one of my best ultimate laps, if I was able to put all my fastest sectors together, is a 1 minute 23.9, which is basically 0.7 of a second faster than the lap that I actually put in as a fastest lap. So if I click on that, straight away the telemetry data below updates. The first thing to notice is, if you've never seen this before, it's going to look scary. So I'm going to break it down to make it super simple and hopefully tell you how you can learn to improve on your own times from your own time. So on the left, 124.6, on the right, a 123.9. The fastest optimal time is in red. Okay. If you look at all this as a whole lap, it's going to be very difficult to see the detail, so we're going to look at it by sector. On the right, there's 2 important parts first and foremost. The first is this top right box. The setup is identical. I was running default setup here whilst I got used to the track, so there's no disadvantages. You're not comparing a car that turns better than another car, for example, and the track temperature is also identical. So you're not comparing a night or a wet race against a day dry race, for example. So it's identical conditions, an identical car, in identical setups, so it's perfect for actually comparing your lap times. I will say at this point as well, to make this actually really useful for yourself, you need to be ideally lapping consistently. So at this point, I was regularly lapping in 1 minute 24s, I believe. If you're running 1 minute 24, 1 minute 30, 1 minute 22, 1 minute 26, for example, that's not consistent enough to really benefit. You want to be running laps where you're really consistent, So you think you've plateaued, and then there's two options. One, you have a play with setups, but do you really know if that's going to give you a better time advantage initially, or where to improve? And the other option is to look at the telemetry data, which is what we're going to discuss in this particular video. On future videos, I'd like to expand on like throttle steering, threshold braking, corner lines, for example. But to do that, it's better backed off with the telemetry data. So I'm going to be using this website a bit more often to explain those driving techniques in videos. So hopefully this introductory video is going to be of much use to get the basics nailed in. So the first thing to do is you look at these sectors here. Sector 5 has 0.3 of a difference, which is far larger than the other sectors, which are 0.1, 0.18 and 0.072. So this is the area we're going to look at first. Within AMS2 there's only 3 sectors displayed, but the good thing about United Racing data is it actually provides 6 deltas, which means there's much more accuracy in able to find where you can save time. So if you click on sector 5, it zooms in on the map as well on the right hand side. So just for clarity, if you go back to the full screen, this part of the track that we're looking at here refers to, if you just click back, refers to this part of the track here. Okay, so this is the bit where I'm losing the most time, 0.3 over my optimal. So if we click back on to sector 5, this all loads up the new telemetry data, which is a bit more zoomed in for that particular sector. And you can see here, if you just expand it, the racing line difference. So you'll notice the red optimal line is much tighter, which enables you to run a lot flatter line through here. So why is it tighter? Why does that provide an advantage? And how can I actually apply that once I've learnt what's happening? So the first thing I do is I look at the time difference. The time difference here tells me that although my fastest lap is quicker to this point, the optimal lap actually shoots off at this point and exceeds overall 0.3 difference if you factor in this initial bit as well, the starting point. So why is this point here? If you look to the map, the circle is at the top of the corner at 12 o'clock position on the first part of the corner. Why at that part of the corner am I losing 0.3? So the first thing I'll look at after the time difference is the speed. Straight away you see that at the same time, the optimal time has a bigger speed difference over a long period of time. The red is higher than the blue all the way across this sector, and the blue is only in front of the red and this small section. Although that gap's quite large, you can see there's a good 3 mile an hour difference. That's also a similar speed excuse me, but over a much longer time. So what's happening? First thing to look at is the braking point. Coming into this corner here, where are we applying the brakes? As you can see here, brake and throttle, both red and blue lines are actually overlaid pretty perfectly, which means my braking point and throttle cut off is identical. So my braking point is perfect. Also you'll notice my braking pressure is basically the same at half, which is 50% braking force. At 50% braking force, the red, which is my optimal time, actually carries the brake, although it's fading off down to 25% here and finally down to 0% brake over a longer period of time. This is trail braking, and the reason that is, if you look at the picture on the right, you can see the circle is moving along the map coming into the corner now. So if you look at the steering wheel as well here, we've got steering input, so the more I'm turning the wheel, the more I'm coming off the brake, but by carrying more brake, it's taking off more speed, which is enabling me to pull in this tighter apex we mentioned earlier. Although you can't see the track, the red line I have my tyres on the curb, whereas the blue line was slightly wide because the extra speed pushed me out wide, which meant I wasn't able to pull it in as tight as I'd like. What that then means is, at this point onwards, I'm able to get on the throttle far earlier in the optimal time. As you can see here, the blue line, I pick up the throttle here, and on the red line, I pick up on the throttle much earlier. Okay. The advantage there obviously is a tighter line means a flatter second corner. That's also represented further down here on the steering inputs. If you look at the red, it's actually a really smooth curve, whereas the blue is much more staggered because of the extra turning I'm having to do in the steering wheel. The gears are the same. I'm in fourth gear and then into third gear for the corners, and then back out into fourth gear for the second exit of the double S's. So hopefully that's broke it down. You've got your time difference, your big time difference out of all your sectors. The biggest time difference is because the throttle application is earlier. But the reason I can get on the throttle earlier is because I've got less speed, because I've broke a little bit later, a little bit longer into the first part of the S's. So great, we understand why there's a difference. How do you apply it? There's no excuse for practice time, except this time when you're going back onto your test or practice sessions, rather than just doing endless laps trying to figure out, well, is this faster, is it not faster, the overall lap's faster, but where did it really get faster? This is the answer. Basically, straight away in that part of the track, you're going to try and brake to the point where you can bring the car in really tight so that you flatten off this next part of the corner and get on the throttle as early as possible, because we know now a slower entry enables a faster exit. I hope that was of use. Good luck hunting, and look forward to plenty more videos describing driving techniques and how to apply using the telemetry data. Speak soon. Thank you all.